Mic check, 1 2. Mic check, 1 2. All right, we ready to do this? It's just me. I'm the only one who's doing this. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to people in the Midwest and on the East Coast. Good morning to people on the West Coast. This is TNT Joe Fi Tech News that Jerome Ortega finds interesting. Episode something because I cannot remember the number. But hey, everybody, happy Friday. If you forgot, today is Friday. I know a lot of people are losing track of the days just because of the whole quarantine and everything, but hopefully your day is going well today. It's pretty overcast here in Chicago. I'm giving you a weather report. Little rain, maybe a little rain later today. My iPhone SE is delivering today. Hopefully. I don't know how packages are arriving, if they're arriving on time or if they're even being timely because of everything happening. But hopefully it comes today. If it doesn't, then I'll wait. I'm in no rush, but if it does come today, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unbox that thing. I'm not going to do a video. We all know what that thing's going to look like, but I want to unbox it and start doing camera comparisons. That's the first thing I'm going to do. But yeah, again, hopefully everyone's doing well. Just going in chat real quick. Oi. What's going on, Mint Arcade? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. Glad to see you here. What's today's itinerary? So I'm talking about LG Velvet. It looks like they're going to launch that. I have a couple Android 11 developer preview 3 updates. I'll go into that. Probably not too much Apple Watch stuff. And then actually some camera samples, it looks like, from the OnePlus 8 Pro and versus the iPhone 11 Pro, I think. Yeah, a couple things and then a couple other stories. So we'll see. Six in here. Yo, fam. What's going on, Six? Welcome to the stream. Brian says, what up? What up, Brian? How's it going, man? How you doing? And Kato, I'm thinking, Antonsen, Norway ready. Hey, Kato. I don't know if I've seen you come in here before. Maybe I have, or it's been a while. But welcome. Glad you could make the stream. Okay, so let's get started, guys. Let's actually start with LG's Velvet. I don't know if any of you guys are excited for the LG Velvet, but this article from 9 to 5 Google is titled LG Velvet will be revealed on May 7th with online launch event. Because obviously, we're not doing these live events anymore with a whole crowd or anything like that. I said this before, but when I watch OnePlus reveal their OnePlus 8 and OnePlus 8 Pro, I actually preferred them doing an online event instead of having a whole crowd because it wasn't. I don't know. Sometimes those live events with crowds, they end up having like weird musical performances or doing something. I don't know. They try to like go out there and like instead of just showcasing the phone, they make it a whole spectacle and it just I don't know. It's kind of weird and in a way it's kind of cringy, at least for me. But yeah, so it looks like they're going to be revealing May 7th, which is how far is May 7th from now? So less than 2 weeks. They're going to be launching this phone. I'm kind of interested, kind of not. It's not the biggest news on my radar. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what LG is going to come out with. I I've had some success using some of LG's phones. They're known for some good hardware and then some that are kind of questionable, but we'll see. So it's a weird time to launch a smartphone given we don't have major events like Mobile World Congress and smartphone makers can't have in-person launch events or briefings. Again, I feel differently. I feel like just have these go ahead and make these launch events if you guys want. It doesn't have to be like this gigantic spectacle all the time. And maybe that way you can just brush up on what you need to present to the consumer. Still, companies are finding their way to market, and now LG has officially announced the launch date of its LG Velvet smartphone. In a video posted this week, LG confirms that the LG Velvet will be launching on May 7th, 2020. So again, less than 2 weeks from now. This reveal will be held entirely online through both YouTube and Facebook. Previously, the LG Velvet launch date was rumored to be later in the month on May 15th. At this point, it seems possible that date could be the start of sales. I wonder if they're pulling it forward either because they know that phones like the iPhone SE are out and maybe they just want to hurry up and compete, maybe get a piece of whatever the Pixel 4a is going to come out with. But again, I don't know how many people are actually waiting for this LG Velvet. I don't know if people are actually excited about it. My thoughts on it are excuse me. Sorry guys, we're live. We're doing it live. My thoughts on it are the design looks really nice, but I don't know if it's winning me over. It's not something that I'm excited about like completely. I'm waiting for it. I'm ready to drop money on it, but again, that just because I really have no my experience with LG other than like my past Nexus phones, that's about where it goes. And then I own the G5 and the G6, but nothing crazy. It wasn't like, again, over the top. So what is the LG Velvet replacing the LG G lineup? Because again, they retired their G lineup and it looks like it's getting replaced with this LG Velvet. This new smartphone focuses on revamping LG's design language entirely. There's not a ton of information out in regards I'm guessing to the cameras or specifications, but we do know the device will be using Qualcomm Snapdragon 765 chipset. So again, they're looking at this as a higher end flagship phone, but not including Snapdragon 865 or the Snapdragon 865 chipset, mostly because of price. Again, a lot of people are saying that, you put the 865 chipset on the phone, it's going to throw the price up by whoever knows how much. I mean, we're seeing it with the S20 Ultra being $1,400. You have the OnePlus 8 Pro selling for $900, although we've seen that in other countries, some of these phones are pricing at a cheaper starting point. So, but people are using the Snapdragon 765 because I think a lot of companies are finding out that this is going to be good enough. Plus, it gives you 5G, and I say it every stream, it seems like, but 5G is a big marketing thing, I think, at this point. Like, imagine if this LG Velvet, imagine if they said, well, okay, we don't want to put the Snapdragon 865 because it's too expensive, but instead of putting the Snapdragon 765, why don't we put last year's Snapdragon 855 series in it? And I feel like that would have been a better choice, but then they can't market the whole 5G thing. I don't know. I understand why they're trying to, they want to tout 5G. Everybody's touting 5G. And now if it doesn't have it, people are probably going to bitch. So I don't know. Again, I'm just going to pull up, I think, this only other article I have for the LG Velvet, just to make sure that I don't miss anything in here, just to see what people are also saying. So, right. Here it also talks about a headphone jack. So let's not forget that this LG Velvet will have a 3.5mm headphone jack in there too. LG is really good about their audio quality. They know that, I think, a big part of their consumer base is our audiophiles. I am not the biggest one, but to see a 3.5mm headphone jack in there is nice. Plus, it's going to have a quad DAC, I'm assuming, since all of them have very high-end audio, quality hardware inside it. So LG smartphone business has been in trouble for some time thanks to uninspiring hardware, dated software, and a dismal record on updates. The most recent LG flagships, the G8X ThinQ and V60 ThinQ, launched with dual screen gimmicks that tried to piggyback on the folding phone fad, but neither have enough going for them to turn the company's fortunes around. Oh, those names surely don't help either. We now know that the G series is to be replaced by something entirely new, and LG hasn't been shy about giving us more details. So originally teased a couple weeks ago, the Velvet represents a new direction for LG that's far more focused on the kind of sleek design, modern design we've seen rivals embrace in recent years. The rear glass and screen curved in together symmetrically, and there's an appealing, quote, teardrop camera arrangement on the back. The video confirms a rumor we've been hearing about more than one flagship phone this year, that the LG Velvet will be using Qualcomm Snapdragon 765 rather than 865 chipset. Again, I think, man, if somebody just bucked the trend and said, no, fuck it, 865 is too expensive, 5G is bullshit, let's not put the 765 because that's still too slow. Let's just use the 855, or put the 855 plus, even though I think it's just a marginal difference. But why don't you do that and see how consumers react then? Because maybe they would rather have that than care for 5G at the moment. You want a perfect example? Look at the iPhone SE, right? Fast ass chip that they're putting in there. They're not touting 5G, and it's probably gonna make a killing. I'm pretty sure it will. Aside from the more forward-thinking design stylings, we can also glean a few other things, details from the video. It'll have 3 rear cameras arranged with the flash in a teardrop formation. Again, like you see here, from biggest to smallest order, ascending to descending. It features what appears to be a dedicated assistant button like other LG phones, and there's a headphone jack once again on the bottom edge next to the USB-C port. Before you get too excited, there are also reasons to be less enthused. I think there are a good number of reasons not to be that enthused about it. We don't know too much about it. We don't know what features are going to stand out from other Android phones, and we don't even know what the price is going to be. I think that, again, is another big factor. It's disappointing to see another water drop notch in the display when hole punch cutouts are arguably the more fashionable choice in 2020. I don't agree with that. Hole punch or water drop, I think they're both, I think, modern for this day and age for 2020. I mean, what's the difference between this water drop here and a goddamn hole that's sitting off center or to the right or even in the center? But not a big deal. I don't know. I feel like that's irrelevant. And I've said this before, I'd rather have a pop-up camera anyway. So then there's no obstruction on the screen at all, or just give it a really thin bezel right here up top and then have, and put the camera there instead. Just give it a little more of a bezel then. And I'd rather have that than have a notch or a water drop or a punch hole or whatever you guys want to call it. LG is expected to reveal all about the Velvet next month, so there's not long to wait, or 2 weeks from now. Okay, so that's it about the LG Velvet. I'm kind of excited. I'm not going to be saving my money for it because I'm not getting it, but I'll pay attention to the news and see what's coming out. So let me switch over to chat here, see what's going on. I see Jorge in here. Jorge Omar Gonzalez. What's up, Jerome? Not much, man. I said earlier my iPhone SE is delivering today, or it's expected to deliver today. So I'm looking forward to that, so I can start doing camera comparisons. But that's about it. Another overcast day here in Chicago. Not too it's somewhere in the 40s. It's kind of cold. Just another shitty day in quarantine, but I'm good. Overall, I'm good. Jorge, thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate you coming by. Jorge also says, I'm looking forward to see what this phone will bring to the table. My only concern is updates. LG has never been good in this aspect. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think at this point, if you're going to buy an LG phone, you should know that it probably isn't going to have the latest updates. And if you want to update, then maybe your choice is to um, just start looking into aftermarket modding into it, and that's actually something I'm looking into maybe for the near future. Mint Arcade here says Velvet has a new design language, doesn't mean overall approach will be different. Yeah, and I agree on that. I think I read another article that was saying that the Velvet was going to do another dual screen setup, like, its other predecessors, which it's cool, I guess, if that's the direction that they want to go. But in the same fashion, I feel like, okay, well, I don't know. What else are you going to do with this Velvet phone? Are you going to, you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess what else can you do at this point? How much higher can you get on the echelon of innovation? Jorge says, I prefer a notch to a hole punch, and I hate the notch. Yeah, I don't care for either. Like I said, Jorge, I would rather just have a bezel, make it thin up top, and just try to figure out how to put the camera in there. At least some kind of stopgap until we get the under display camera, right? Or put the pop up camera, but it seems like nobody wants to do that anymore. Mint Arcade agrees and says mechanical pop up selfie camera is the way to go. Completely agree. I would rather have it that way than anything else. Brian also says, I'm more curious with the Snapdragon 765 performance. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this is capable of. I'm looking forward to seeing if it's going to perform well without lag. But I think the bigger question is, let's say it does perform really well, or at least well enough, for most consumers. I'm wondering the longevity of it. How well will this performance keep up a year from now after a new OS is introduced, or 2 years from now when a new OS is introduced? Is it still going to perform well? Maybe it might not matter to a lot of people because they update every year, but I don't know. So let's see here. Brian also says, "I wish LG would just allow us to have a stock Android theme, including the settings menu." Yeah, I think a lot of us feel very similarly on that. I just don't know when that's going to happen. So, okay, let's move on, guys. I have this article from Mashable that actually had somebody who tore down the iPhone SE. New iPhone SE teardown mashes it up with the iPhone 8, which isn't surprising because, if you don't know already, the iPhone SE that is delivering today for a lot of people, is using an iPhone 8 exterior with updated guts, updated internals. So I don't think this article is that long. Tradition dictates that with every phone launch, one shiny new device is offered up to the teardown gods. It may be painful to see warranties voided so immediately and completely, but knowledge demands sacrifice. Yeah, and I think a lot of these guys who get the phone, who actually open it up and kind of show us the internals and show us what is actually going on, especially for a company like Apple that doesn't like to tell us all the specs that it comes with and everything that they're stuffing in their phones. So it's nice to see that, there are people who are making that sacrifice to open up a phone and show us what's going on. In this 5-minute video, Zhang from AA Tech deftly disassembles Apple's new iPhone SE and compares it to its predecessor, the iPhone 8. While the iPhone SE has an upgraded CPU as well as a different camera, actually, that's really interesting to say that it has a different camera, because there were a lot of people who were saying that it might just have the iPhone 8's camera in there and just using, a different, they were calling it an ISP, an imaging sensor. Now I'm forgetting. So like just, different kind of either software or hardware combined to process the algorithm to give you your final images. They said that was the only thing that was different in there. An imaging signal processor is what I was thinking of. So to see that it might have a different camera, and I don't know if it's a different camera overall, or is it the iPhone XR camera, which is what people were assuming. I don't think it's the iPhone 11 camera, but who knows? And it has a different battery connector. Many of the components are the same as the iPhone 8. I wonder why it's a different battery connector, but maybe it's just in an engineering standpoint. Who knows? Some are even compatible, which Jiang demonstrates by Frankensteining parts of the two phones together, like a more technologically advanced Sid from Toy Story. A very effective way to illustrate the similarities. I haven't even looked at this yet, so I have no idea what he took apart, but it'd be interesting to watch. Maybe I'll give it a watch. If you guys are looking for this link, let me know, and I'll add it in there. Yeah, it looks like he's comparing both of these phones, the 8 and the iPhone SE. I wonder if he tried swapping the cameras. Did they say that he tried to swap the cameras to see if it would work? Yeah, I wonder if he did that just to see if it would work, just to see if they're compatible with each other. That would actually be interesting. I wonder if you could actually take the iPhone 11 camera. I don't know. I don't open phones like this. I don't tear them apart because even though I worked in IT for over a decade, I don't fuck with that. Like I build my own PCs and I do stuff like that. But when it comes to this, I kind of stay away because it's a lot of money for something that they soldered through. And as soon as you start talking about a heat gun and glue, I'm just like, nah, I don't want to mess with that. But that's me. Okay, that's really about it. I do have this other article. Oh, we'll talk about this actually. I kind of wanted to go. Into depth with this. I haven't seen this article yet. It looks like they are comparing photos, which I'm actually interested in looking at, but we'll see. But real quick before I do, let me switch back into chat here. So why am I saying that right? Why WAI 2019? If it has a good price, it will completely obliterate the normal Motorola Edge. I can see that, but yeah, I just wonder what that price point's going to be, especially when they keep calling it a flagship phone. I just don't know what in their heads the price point they're looking at it at, like what price point they're looking at. But yeah, we'll see. But why? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you stopping by. I'll say this real quick, guys. If you guys haven't already, please feel free to like the video. Liking the video helps me, I think, in some algorithmic way, so people find the stream and they come and stop by. And then I will say this too. Some people have told me that they're not getting the notifications that I'm streaming live. So if you haven't, or if you stop by and you haven't, please make sure to check that you are subscribed and you have that like ring bell notification turned on. I know that's a weird thing for me to say. I hate saying shit like that, but I feel like YouTube is forcing my hand. If they don't want to like notify you, then what else can I say? So just make sure. But again, thank you guys for stopping by. Brian says here, too thin bezels with front firing speakers. Yes. Notification LED. Yes. Multi front facing camera with wide angle. I can see that too. Video chat is going to get more complex these days. That's a good point. I mean, these are upgrades that I would love to see. Mint Arcade also says, can you still call it a flagship phone without a Snapdragon 865? That's a really good question. And part of me feels like it would be hard to call it a flagship phone then, because I feel like an 855 plus would outperform a Snapdragon 765, but I don't know. Yeah, that's a really good question. Part of me feels like you can't, because you're taking some shortcuts here and you're not putting the best of the best. But I also don't want to pay $1,000 for a phone. But I don't know. That's a good point. It really is. Let's see here. Tobes. You got to tell me how to pronounce it. Tobes Nwajagu, have you seen the specifications of the LG Velvet? So Tobes, as far as specs, really all that they're saying is a Snapdragon 765, so that it has 5G on it. They said that, it'll have 3 cameras on the back, because obviously we saw what it looks like. A headphone jack, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and really that's it. There hasn't been many other specifications other than that. It looks nice. It looks really nice. but yeah, no word as far as pricing or what else is going to be included in it. But Tobez, welcome to the stream. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you stopping by. I see Obert Obert Yay. Obert, am I saying that right? Let me know if I am. Hey Jerome, YouTube algorithm working today. Well, I'm glad. Obert, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for joining the stream. I just came off your last stream with a 150 megapixel camera. Well, thanks for stopping by. Glad you watched the stream. Glad you were able to catch that. Hopefully it was entertaining and was useful. Thank you again. Thanks for stopping by, man. Okay, so Tobas is saying it's 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage. Additionally, it has a 4,300 milliamp hour battery size. Where did you find that? Let me know where you found that. I haven't seen anything about that. But yeah, 8 gigs of RAM, 12 gigs or 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of internal storage for the LG Velvet. Those are looking like good specs already. I can't complain about that. And a 4,300 milliamp hour battery, also good. Also a plus. Also a plus. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so let's move on, guys. Again, I have this article from CNET. I haven't seen this yet, but I was curious to see what they had on it. If you guys don't know, I am big on cameras. I do freelance photography, videography. It's one of my things, one of my hobbies, one of the things I do for work that I really enjoy. So this article here says iPhone 11 Pro versus the OnePlus 8 Pro in terms of cameras. My quarantine walk photo comparison. We put the two phones side by side to see which can take the best photos in daylight and night. So I am mostly concerned about what these night shots are going to look like, but let's take a look. OnePlus has taken the wraps off its latest flagship, the OnePlus 8 Pro, blah, blah, blah. I'm not really going to go into depth here. I really just want to see the pictures. So, the OnePlus 8 Pro has a 48 megapixel main camera versus a 12 megapixel on the iPhone 11 Pro. Video, blah, blah, blah. I just want to look at the pictures, guys. That's really what I want to see. The coronavirus lockdown means it's tricky to get out and do my usual full suite of tests, but I found the odd moment while taking my daily walks to get some quick snaps for comparison. I'll expand on this just as soon as I'm able to spend some proper time outdoors. So this is the OnePlus 8 Pro, the standard lens. I mean, it looks good, right? It looks pretty sharp. And then the iPhone 11 Pro standard lens. I mean, they look very similar. God, I hate that I'm not able to just see them side by side. I really just wish I had both of these phones so I could test it out myself. I'm just zooming out, guys, just so I can give a better perspective. So I'm looking here already, and this looks a little more washed out than what's showing up on the iPhone 11 Pro, but it's not by a lot. But the brickwork here looks a little more detailed. As far as if you the things that I notice, are more of the main things and things that I can share with you guys too. I mean, the sky here looks a little more, deeper in color. But it's not a huge difference. Again, you see it's not as washed out, right? As what is showing on the OnePlus 8 Pro, but they look pretty good. They look pretty decent. He actually has commentary on it too. So in these first test shots taken in Edinburgh's beautiful Dean Village, there's not much to differentiate the photos taken from the phone's standard lenses. Both have natural looking colors and both have achieved even exposures. There's tons of detail on the brickwork on both images when zoomed in too. The iPhone photo might just have the edge for me though, as it's got a slightly richer blue sky and a touch more vibrance from the orange tones in the buildings on the left. I agree with that. I do. I like this deeper color on here on the buildings too than what I'm seeing here. Again, this looks a little more washed out, but otherwise the rest of it looks pretty good. The blue sky, whatever. I mean, for the most part, the skies look pretty even to me. Yes, a deeper here. You could even argue that this is a little dark, but for the most part, it looks good. It's a tiny difference though, and mostly comes down to personal preference. Yeah. So the wide lens for the OnePlus 8 Pro, and then the wide lens for the iPhone 11 Pro. Again, you see, I mean, yeah, they're pretty comparable. This patch of grass here looks a little more, again, washed out, but see, there's shadows here. These shadows aren't pronounced over here, and I don't know if it's just because it's taken at different times or if that's just how it's coming out. But yeah, these are more apparent. But yeah, pretty much very similar. Again, this brickwork looks a little better than what I'm seeing here, but it's not a crazy difference. There's a more noticeable color shift when using the wide angle lenses, while the iPhone 11 Pro shot maintains that rich blue sky. The OnePlus 8 Pro shot has warmed the scene a bit more, which has reduced some of the vibrancy in the sky. Again, it's not a big difference, and it might just come down to a shift in the white balance between taking the two photos. Fair enough. So this is the OnePlus 8 Pro wide lens up here on the top, and then the iPhone 11 Pro wide lens on the bottom. This has a much more contrasty shot, right? This is a little darker here. I mean, it even looks like maybe the contrast was turned up a bit, but this might be more natural. But again, very good, both shots. There's nothing to really complain about. Yeah, I mean, you do see this contrast seems a bit turned up. This may be looking a little bit more natural. But even when I edit my photos, to be honest with you, this is kind of what I do. And maybe that's what the user wants. But usually when I take a picture or a photo, I kind of want it to be as natural as possible, especially on a camera phone, and then I'll tweak it from there. But again, not much to complain about. The difference is much the same in this wide angle shot. The iPhone has captured a deeper blue in the sky as well as a richer tone on the bridge itself. I'm waiting for the night shots. I'm looking at these and it's like, okay, I've made this argument many times before. During the day with most shots, most of them come out great. And for most people, they're not printing out posters. They're not printing out billboards. They're using it to post on social media, and most people aren't going to even tell the difference. And it's hard for me to look at these because usually the way I do it is I will crop in, I'll zoom in, and then we can look at the finer detail. Here, I'm just kind of eyeing it and saying, yeah, this looks good. This looks okay. So again, these day shots are going to be comparable. They're not going to be crazy different. If anything, what I'm seeing here are the highlights are a little more, it's a little more washed out and I don't mean to say washed out in a bad way. It's just, you can see here versus the whites here. It looks like it's a little more blown out, but it's not crazy. And it looks good for the most. Okay. I was going to say, what? That's not a real person. Okay. OnePlus 8 at 3x zoom, 2x zoom. Okay. I want to look at night shots. Yeah, these are really good shots. They're good photos and they're great. It's great. I'm happy to see this come out of the OnePlus 8 Pro. You're paying $900 for a phone because OnePlus didn't want to put the same optics in the OnePlus 8, which I will say I feel like is unfortunate. I was hoping that OnePlus was still going to put the same optics in the OnePlus 8 and then have the same optics in the OnePlus 8 Pro, except the OnePlus 8 Pro would have IP68 and wireless charging. So then that way, if you still wanted a good camera out of the OnePlus 8, then you can get it at $200 cheaper, but they decided not to do that because I don't know. I disagree with that. I wish OnePlus didn't do that. But yeah, these are great shots from what I'm seeing. Oh wow, this is okay. This is a much darker, deeper contrast shot versus this. I actually prefer this OnePlus 8 Pro one. I do like this a lot better. I like the richer colors in here. Kind of reminds me of what my Nexus 6P gave. But yeah, that's like the biggest difference one I've seen so far at day and night. Oh, here we go. It's difficult to pick a strong winner from these two. Oh, this is the day shot. So let me look at this before I read anything. Oh my God. Yeah. Right away. Look at this night shot here. And you'll see this is washed out right up here, right at the top compared to here. This is a much sharper shot. I know that I don't have it zoomed in, guys, but it's hard for me to go up and down to look at both. As far as overexposure and stuff though, all of this seems really good, but I mean, obviously the iPhone 11, and this is a night mode for both, right? There's lens flare. There's a washed out kind of vibe that's going on here. And I can't zoom in, so I can't see the rest of it. But this is a lot sharper. This is obviously the better shot. If he disagrees, then I would be crazy, but I'm pretty sure he's going to say the same thing. I mean, even the night sky, there's more dynamic range here than what I'm seeing up above. Turning to night mode now, and it's clear the iPhone 11 Pro has the edge here. Its shot is more crisp. It's brighter in the sky, and the OnePlus 8 Pro shot seems to be suffering from lens flare from a nearby streetlight, which spoils the shot, something the iPhone has avoided. So this OnePlus 8 Pro is not bad, but for me, if the differentiator is night, low light, dim shots. I mean, you're talking $900 versus $1,000 at this point. Um, yeah, it's a good night shot, but it's not topping out the iPhone 11 Pro just from this first shot alone. We'll see what the other. God, this is that's pretty bad right here already. OnePlus 8 Pro again in night mode, and then the iPhone 11 Pro. Yeah, so you see here it's washed out. There's lens flare over here. Um, and it's not the clearest shot. I mean, there's obviously it's missing. It doesn't have enough light to really give a good shot. And I mean, see, I can't zoom in, so I can't really see how soft these shots are. But just looking at it like this, you could already tell that the iPhone 11 Pro is the better shot. That lens flare in night mode continues to be an issue here, right? With the OnePlus 8 Pro shot looking like there's a big orange patch in the left side of the image. Yeah, it's just overall, I'm impressed with how well the OnePlus 8 Pro performed in this test. I guess really the night mode is what gets me, particularly given its cheaper price tag by $100. I mean, to be fair, you want a perfect example? You could go buy an iPhone 11 right now, especially if camera was your main focus. Go ahead and buy an iPhone 11 and then retake these night shots. And what is the iPhone 11? $700 versus this $900 OnePlus 8 Pro. Right away, then you're going to have a better camera at night. And again, yeah, the camera isn't the only factor in buying a phone, but for a lot of people who want the best camera, who's good enough or who's happy to have good enough specs for everything else, like I'm gonna have to recommend the iPhone 11, especially if you want a better camera at night. I mean, yeah, you're not gonna have the no, you have wide angle on the OnePlus or on the iPhone 11. You just don't have the telephoto. Again, yeah, this is a hard. I mean, for me, if camera is the most important thing for you, get the iPhone 11. Save the extra, save the extra $300 instead of buying the iPhone 11 Pro. Save the extra $200 from getting a OnePlus 8 because you're not going to get better pictures than what you're getting here with the iPhone 11. Overall, I'm impressed. There's no other pictures. Oh, come on. There's so many pictures from day, and that's all I get for night. God damn it. I wish I had this phone just so I could test it myself. Yeah, but I mean, even from those two shots alone, the iPhone 11 Pro is the better shot or is the better camera phone at night, at least going off of these two. I wish I had more to look at, but until I get the money to spend on, like a OnePlus 8 or a OnePlus 8 Pro to test it out, I would love to, but I would love to do the same with the Galaxy S20, but yeah. So let's see here. It says, while it doesn't consistently provide the same rich colors as the iPhone, it still manages to take some great looking shots with spot on exposure. It takes a win when it comes to zoomability, but if you're particularly into your night mode images, the iPhone is still the way to go. At least he points it out that way. And at least he can conclude that with just two shots alone. I mean, really, it is a big difference. God, I wish there were more to go off of, but that's all I got. So, maybe one day, if I can afford the phone, I'd love to test it out. Okay, let me go back up here, check out chat, just make sure that I got everybody in here. Daniel says, when do you think we will see a gigapixel camera on a phone? Daniel, that's actually funny you say that, because yesterday there was, I don't know if you saw my stream yesterday, but Samsung is working on a 600 megapixel sensor, which again, I think is such bullshit because we're talking about an iPhone 11 Pro here that has a 12 megapixel camera that's outperforming this 48 megapixel shooter here. So 108 megapixel, 150 megapixel, it's not going to make a difference. Let's see, you can talk specs to me all you want, but let's see what the results really look like. So yeah, it's funny that you say that because I know this is a joke. I'm assuming it's a joke unless you're actually serious. But Samsung's already working on a 600 megapixel sensor, which I just don't understand why. Like, why are you working on a 600 megapixel sensor when you can't even like properly get your what are they using now on the S20? 108 or on the S20 Ultra? let's get that right first. Let's work on that before we go anywhere else. Okay, so I see Mike in here too. Mike Schneider, what up? What up, Mike? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Daniel, also welcome to the stream. Glad you guys can make it. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Let's see here. Sorry, just reading chat. Min's Arcade, I wonder why OnePlus wants to have a pro phone anyway. They do well with just one phone. Yes, completely agree. Why not just give us one phone? I complained about this yesterday with the Moto G series. Why is there a Moto G Power? Why is there a Moto G Stylus? You know, they're both cheap phones, and both of them you sacrifice from what you want. So if you get a Moto G Stylus, you get a stylus, right? But you get a lower battery, but you get a better camera. If you get the Moto G Power, you get a better battery, but you get a worse camera and you don't get a stylus. Why? And they're both, I think, around the $300 price point. 250 for the Moto G Power, 300 for the Moto G Stylus. Why don't you just put the best of both in both of these phones and give us what why are we having such a family of phones instead of just giving us I guess I'm not the marketer, so I can't answer those questions. I don't know. Daniel says, Jerome, would you find better value buying $1,000 phone or building a new $1,000 rig in these times? $1,000 rig easily. I would rather spend $1,000 to build a badass PC than, you know, spending $1,000 on a phone. I mean, I guess it depends on the person, because, you know, there are people who don't want to sit in front of a computer. There are people like me there are people who aren't like me who are editing photos or editing videos, or people who don't game. But if you already have a phone and your choice was upgrading to a new PC or getting a new phone, yeah, I would rather get a new PC. But that's me. Or even just spending the $1,000 on something else. Because I mean, I've been talking about the iPhone SE. It's going to have the best chipset on any phone right now. It's going to have a fairly decent camera from what I'm seeing, and it's going to last you a while. Great build quality, wireless charging, and it's only $400. Or there are other phones, and like I said, the iPhone is just not the only phone you can pick out of that batch, right? You can look at OnePlus right now. They're selling the OnePlus 7T for $499. Or I've seen sales on the OnePlus 6T that are going for $299 brand new right now, and that's Android. And that would be hard for me not to recommend. A OnePlus 6T for $300. Yeah, it has some quirks. It's not going to have the best camera. I don't like the in-display fingerprint reader on it, but at $300, that's a good deal. Don't spend $1,000 on a phone, guys, especially if you know that there are these other phones out there that can compete. Think about what your priorities are first. And I just don't think people need to spend $1,000 on a phone. Jorge says here, I'd like to see a comparison between the iPhone and the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II. I would love to also. I actually owned Xperia phones for a while, and I love the Xperia phones because I love the build quality. I love the form factor. But I've strayed away from Sony in a while. I haven't seen their stuff in a long time. I would love to get back into it, but there's so many other phones, and I don't have the money to buy all that stuff. So, but yeah, it's, I would love to test all of them out. I've said this before. If it was up to me, I would just do camera comparison photos all day and test them, because that's what I enjoy doing. I mean, I love doing this too. I love streaming and talking about tech news because I really find it interesting. But other than that, those are the two things I do for sure. Daniel says here, it's a serious joke. Yeah, well, I gave you a serious answer. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's a lot of money for a phone. Hackney man, thanks for joining the stream. Haven't seen you in a bit. Appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for making it. Good evening from London. Literally just finishing work from home. Hackney man, thanks for stopping by. Good evening to you over there. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're doing okay in quarantine. I think all of us are trying to. So appreciate you stopping by. Steve Pradhan. Hey, Steve, welcome to the stream. I don't know if I've seen you before. Bigger sensor over higher resolution is going to make a bigger difference than increase in resolution. I agree. It's just weird though, because these bigger sensors like Samsung's S20 or S20 Ultra is supposed to have a really big sensor. I think it does, but I don't think the quality is worlds above what we're seeing in a lot of these other camera phones still, or comparable camera phones when we're talking about high end. But I agree with you, completely agree. Again, thank you for stopping by. Thanks for making it. Hackney Man says, any discussion around the 8 Pro screen? I'm actually going to talk about that a little later. So sit tight. Black Crush green tint. How is it no reviewers picked up on this? I had to send mine back. I'm glad you said that. And actually, I do want to discuss that later. But I feel like a reason some of these reviewers haven't picked up on Black Crush or the green tint, maybe the green tint because they just, they weren't messing with it. But I feel like a lot of these reviewers who have it, who aren't spending a ton of time with it, are just doing a quick review and saying, yeah, this, and that, kind of like echoing what everyone else is saying, which is why I don't watch a lot of other tech reviewers, which is why, like, when I do camera comparisons, I don't try to watch a lot of other people's, because I'd rather do the tests myself and then give you my honest, unbiased opinion. And that's how I do my work. Again, people do it in different ways. And I'm not saying all of them do it this way, right? I'm not saying all of them are echoing the same shit. I just feel like it's hard for me to read something. That's why I read these other tech sites and other tech reviewers, because it's like, yes, I will, I understand what you're saying and I'll take it for what it is. But until I get my hands on it, just like you guys, just because I say it doesn't mean you have to believe everything I say. I'm just trying to give you my honest opinion, my honest truth on what I'm seeing. But yeah, I don't know how they haven't picked up on it, but I will cover that a little bit later. Ben Arcade here says the Xperia 1 Mark II will integrate Sony Alpha camera tech. Wow. I actually didn't know that. If they do that, I would be amazed. I would love to see what those camera sample shots would look like, because Sony has been killing it in their mirrorless camera segment right now. I'm a DSLR guy. I've been a Canon guy for a while, and I'm just sticking to them because, one, I can't buy a new DSLR, and two, the DSLR I've used now, I've been using it for years and I'm still learning with it and I'm still picking up stuff. And until I get better, until I can get the money to actually buy new hardware, I'll stick with that for now. But that's nice to know that they're actually using that to work on their camera phones. I would love to see that integrated. So before I move on to the next story, guys, I do want to thank everybody for stopping by. If you're new here, or if you haven't already, please feel free to like the video. Liking the video helps me in a weird algorithmic way. I think it helps people find the chat, stop by. For people who haven't, feel free to subscribe. Other people have told me that they haven't been getting notifications when I go live on stream. So if you haven't, just double check that you're subscribed. I do stream Monday through Friday, weekdays at 12 p.m. Central. So again, anyone who's joined in chat, anyone who stopped by, I appreciate you taking the time to say what's up and join the community and talk about tech. And I try to talk to everybody in here and answer questions and just try to learn stuff as we go on. So let's move. I saw blue show up on my screen. Brian with the $1 super chat. Brian, thank you so much. For you guys that don't know, Brian is on some super chat streak here. I don't know how many days it's been in a row, but Brian with the $1 super chat. Thank you for thank you for supporting the channel, not only in helping moderate, but also just supporting this way, taking that extra step or extra mile or whatever. You know how I do. I keep trying to think of the same way or think of different ways to say things. But Brian, thank you for the support again. And thank you to everybody else. Appreciate it so much. Okay, so let's move on, guys. I have the Android 11 update. So Android released their third iteration of developer preview. For you guys who have Pixel phones, are you guys testing out Developer Preview 3? I have a Pixel 4. I haven't even tested it. I haven't even tested Android 11 update or Developer Preview 1. I'll be honest, a big reason is just I've been using my iPhone 11 Pro more than anything else. I've tried to switch over to my Pixel 4, but to use it again as my daily, but I find myself switching back to the iPhone 11 Pro. A big reason is the camera, but the build quality just seems a lot more solid. And I don't know. I mean, even using my Pixel 4 outside, my 11 Pro is much better in terms of display. And I find myself going to my 11 Pro more than my Pixel 4. So no, I haven't updated it to Android 11 yet, or at least this developer preview. But this has been out now for some time and they're still updating it. So this developer preview 3, they've added things like Ethernet. Sorry, it's a lot of talking, guys. It's 50 minutes in. Ethernet tethering. So this update adds Ethernet tethering to the quote hotspot and tethering menu in Android settings. Let me make the screen bigger for you. I just realized this option is toggled the same as Bluetooth tethering and USB tethering, but focuses specifically on USB Ethernet. So if you are looking to tether in an Ethernet way and use your router, that's pretty awesome that they're allowing that. Chat bubbles, there's a new pop-up today for chat bubbles with this newest update. So I don't really even use Google Messages. Usually when people talk to me, I tell them to message me on Telegram, or I'll try to force them to use Telegram. I know that's really hard in today's age when all of us are, stuck on one platform already. But yeah, I haven't seen this yet. So I just Facebook Messenger has chat bubbles and I hate it. I don't like having that pop up come. I don't like getting annoyed, or I feel like I'm getting annoyed with pop-up notifications like that. This works with Google's apps or presumably any other chat app that integrates the bubbles as Google suggests. You might be reminded of another system very similar to this that's been around for several years. It was first called Chat Heads, introduced by Facebook with Messenger. Yeah, just not my thing. Gesture sensitivity. The latest update brings some new adjustment levels for gesture sensitivity. Instead of including both left and right edges in the same batch, Android will allow adjustments to left edge and right edge sensitivity. Volume is sound. If you're using a Pixel device and you've loaded Android 11 Developer Preview 3 today, you've likely adjusted your sound levels. The menu that used to be titled volume is now titled sound. Oh, okay. I guess that's it. And dismissing notifications, all notifications. You can now dismiss ongoing notifications like never before. The notifications you've seen sticking around that you've only otherwise been able to remove by removing forever entirely. Now you've got the opportunity to push those to the side, at least for a while. And then I just pulled up a couple other articles just to see in case we didn't miss anything. We previously reported about Android 11's ability to grant temporary one-time permissions to apps. Building on that feature, it brings yet another option to revoke app permissions for unused apps. You might have many redundant apps on your phone that you downloaded enthusiastically at one point and later forgot about it completely. If so, the new auto revoke permissions feature in Android 11 is meant for you. Enabling the option will automatically cancel all permissions for the app if you haven't used it for a few months. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. You can see the new option and its description in the screenshot below. So right here, auto revoke permissions. To protect your data, permissions for this app will be removed if the app isn't used for a few months. Oh, I like that. That's actually a really cool feature. That's good to know. And then Android 11 might fix the most annoying notification problem on your phone. The third developer's preview is here. We've talked about this. One of the most useful new features that could be arriving is the ability to swipe away all notifications if you want to, giving yourself a clean notifications bar. That's great. In older builds of Android, there are some notifications that can't be removed, like alerts that your phone is connected to a device via Bluetooth or WhatsApp web is currently running. These can be useful reminders in some cases, but they can also clutter up your notification bar if there are lots of them, which is rather annoying. Yeah, because I'm such a OCD freak, sometimes when I see those notifications up on my top left, I just want to clear them, which is also weird because I used to put that percentage of my battery on the top right of my settings or on my status bar in Android, but I don't like having that now. I always turn that off. I don't know. I just don't like it being so cluttered up on the top of the status bar, but that's nice to see. So that's really it for Android 11 Developer Preview 3. I don't know if any of you guys installed it. Just thought I would talk about it since it was here. I might install it on my Pixel 4, maybe make a video for it, but there's no rush on that right now. So that's it. Okay. Brian says here, the battery life and screen brightness is awful on Pixels. Yeah, I am not happy. I mean, I've been getting better battery life, especially because Brian had given me a couple tips like turning off digital well-being, which really helped out with battery life, but also because I'm stuck at home and I'm on Wi-Fi all day. So that's why my battery's been better. But as far as screen brightness, usually, so every day I go for walks because I can't go to the gym because gyms are closed. So I go for walks, but occasionally I'll pull my phone out, and every time I pull my Pixel 4 out and I try to look at the phone, the screen is just so dim compared to my iPhone 11 Pro. And then I end up taking my iPhone 11 Pro out of my pocket instead. I hope that's something that they're going to fix with the Pixel 5. I wonder if that's something that they're going to actually improve on the Pixel 4a. Wouldn't that be a kick in the balls if the Pixel 4a, not only is it going to have a better looking display on the front, because it's just going to have a one small punch hole cut out instead of a big notch that they have on the Pixel 4. I mean, the Pixel 4's notch, not that I'm, or not notch, bezel. Not that I'm against having a bezel. I was just talking about it earlier. I don't mind having a bezel up top, but give me a thin bezel. The Pixel 4 has a big ass bezel on the front on the top and a smaller one on the bottom, and it looks so asymmetrical that it starts to give me that weird OCD feeling. Maybe that's something though that they're going to fix on the Pixel 4a. Not the, I mean, we've seen the display; it looks a lot nicer, but the brightness is what I was talking about. Imagine if the Pixel 4a had a higher brightness than the Pixel 4, and again, it only costs $400. Okay. Anyway, here, Steve says it's almost midnight here. Again, thanks for staying up late. Thanks for taking the time, Steve, to stop by and join the stream. Mint Arcade says Google's demonstration of Android applications on a phone has been awful. Yeah, there's so many things that I know that they could fix, that they could work on, and I just hope that they do. Okay, so this article, I might not go too long into it. We're already coming up at 56 minutes here during the stream, and I actually have a couple other videos that I'm working on for my other channel. My iPhone SE is coming in today, so I'm hoping to take some time to do photo comparisons and try to get a video out tomorrow. That's my hope. Fingers crossed. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I'm going to try to get as much done as I can. There's a lot to do today. So this article from Engadget is 5 years on, Apple Watch is the best wearable for most people. That is hard for me to refute, because I haven't owned the last. So if you guys don't know, I own an Apple Watch. It's a Series 3. I got that on a really good discount, brand new, because it's a Series 3, not a Series 5. And that's when they were selling it for $189, brand new, for the 38 millimeter bezel one. But I got the 42 one, the bigger one, and I got that for $229, and I thought it was a great deal. So 5 years ago today, the Apple Watch went on sale following 6 months of hype. It had the special burden of being the first brand new product the company released since Tim Cook had taken the reins at Apple. I'm not going to go through this whole thing here. Apple wasn't alone here. In the span of a few years, the industry as a whole had bet pretty hard on wearables. So yeah, we've seen the last smartwatch I owned was a Moto 360, and it was okay. It didn't do much for me. I just thought it was brand new. I mean, it was one of the first smartwatches that came out, and I had messed around with it, but I didn't find myself wearing it often. After that, I ended up getting a Fitbit, which I felt was a lot more intuitive. And even though it wasn't, really a smartwatch, it counted my steps, and it had my heart rate and my sleep, and I really liked it. And then I stopped wearing that though after a while, just because, well, I stopped being so active, and so I didn't really have much of a use for it. But then the Apple Watch came, and I really like it because it just tracks everything. It kind of does everything I need. And like even the notifications, when I get it, I find myself looking at my watch and saying, oh, that's my notification. I don't need to pull my phone out. Something I thought I would never get used to, but I really enjoy using it. So the Apple Watch was expensive and lacked some key features, kind of like the other first generation Apple products. But perhaps a bigger problem was that the company failed to make a coherent sales pitch for the watch. Again, I'm not going to go through this entire thing. I'm also running out of talking room here. I'm almost an hour in. I'm just okay, I'm running out of breath. So let me just try to go through this. So, broader price points. Yeah. So again, one of the reasons I got it was because it was such a great deal. Getting the Series 3, the big 42 millimeter bezel one for $229 was great. But yeah, there are a lot of features I use on here, and my battery life is fine. I like using it just because there's so much I can do without pulling my my phone out. So it's been pretty useful. I don't know how you guys are using other smartwatches. I know Mike, Simply Your Device, he's used Android Wear or using Wear OS. He's also used Samsung Galaxy smartwatches, which he said has worked better than Wear OS. But I think really the watch that kind of takes the cake right now for the moment. I mean, it might not be for long, depending if another company or Android gets their shit together. But so far, the Apple Watch has been my favorite out of the ones I've seen, out of the ones I've used. Okay, so moving on here. And this is what I was talking about earlier with Hackney Man. This article from GSM Arena is OnePlus addresses green tint with the OnePlus 8 Pro's display. Real quick, before I even go into it, no, actually, let me save that towards the end. I will make a point here at the end. The OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro are available for sale in the UK and Europe since April 21. The devices aren't releasing in the US until April 29. However, as the first customers get their hands on the new OnePlus phones, some users are reporting concerns with the display. There are two incidents that are causing a stir over at the OnePlus community forums. One of them is the appearance of a green tint over the display in low brightness settings, which is right here. I mean, this is obviously green and is an issue. Granted, it's one of those cases where a display acts strange under a specific set of conditions, but it isn't one worth overlooking. Right, like this, you just don't let this go. Users have discovered that turning on DC dimming under the 8 Pro's OnePlus laboratory settings seems to fix the green tint behavior. Inadvertently switching on the DC dimming features causes a black crush side effect. Crush black is when darker areas of an image lose detail and result in splotchy patterns. Crush blacks are not a nice thing to look at either. So those two things, crush blacks and a green tint, those are both issues that need to get fixed. So a OnePlus spokesperson reached out to confirm that it is already investigating an issue and working on a fix to arrive via an over-the-air update. It also confirmed that users can switch on the DC dimming settings as a temporary fix. Chances are you may not even notice the issue if you're using a OnePlus 8 Pro under most circumstances. The green tint appears to happen at very low brightness levels when there are images of primarily dark grays or black. Yeah, it's so these guys are going to get shit for it. OnePlus is going to get shit for it because one, you just up the prices on your phones. You just up the prices on your phones and people are going to nitpick. And these aren't small things to nitpick. These are big issues, right? Maybe other people haven't picked up on this issue, which is fine. If you don't use your phone in those circumstances, then good. Then it's something that you haven't noticed or whatever. Or maybe you're not the pickiest display user. But again, when you're talking about these prices on the phones, it's hard. Like, don't be surprised when people find this shit out and they call you out on it. But here's my second point. I was just talking about this earlier last week, 2 weeks ago. I even kind of made fun about it on Twitter because OnePlus, they were touting that the OnePlus 8 Pro was rated an A+ from DisplayMate, best display ever, blah, blah, blah. And I remember tweeting and I said something along the term, I'm not going to pull it up right now, but I was just like, hey, I'm asking for a friend. How much does it cost to get a A+ rating on DisplayMate, which is obviously a joke, but it also goes to show that you can't trust everybody out there who's giving these A+ ratings or these high scores on DxOMark. Really, the proof is in your consumer experience. The proof is in trusting reviewers or tech reviewers to give you the honest, review of how their experience is with the phone. I'm not saying that you can't look at them as guides. Don't just completely shit on DisplayMate, but don't look at them as and I've said it before, don't look at them as a Bible either. Take a look at it and use it as a guide to help you and say, well, look, DisplayMate did give it an A+ rating. So the display must be really good. And I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm pretty sure that the display is top notch. But when you have issues again, like black, crushed blacks, or you have issues like, green tints, yeah, people are going to call you out on it, man. Because don't talk that it's the best display or, keep touting it. And then you have issues like this come up. Yeah, people are going to call you out on that bullshit. That's really it. That's really all I have to say on it. Okay, so that might be it, guys, because like I'm really like I'm parched at the moment. I feel like maybe I just talked way too much in this hour, but that might be it for me. Let me go through chat real quick. Um Mint Arcade here says can't afford a watch of any kind. It's not a necessity, and it really isn't. It's not a necessity. I mean, the reason I got that Apple Watch was I had the money at the time and it was a good discount, and I'm pretty active and I like knowing my steps and I like kind of tracking that kind of stuff, especially my heart rate. Actually, it's funny because I've been looking at my resting heart rate, and my resting heart rate's at like the last I checked, my resting heart rate was at 47. And I'm like, holy shit, that's so low. I don't think I've ever had it that low before. But I've been trying to keep fit and whatever, so it's nice to see. But I hear you, Mint Arcade. I totally hear you. Hackney Man says I couldn't watch anything on Netflix or Prime. It looks so bad. That sucks, man. I'm glad you were able to return it. I'm glad you caught on to it. It's too bad that other reviewers didn't say anything, or maybe they just didn't catch it. But that sucks. But I'm glad you were able to return it. Mint Arcade here says expectations will get higher as the price ranges go up. Agreed. For OnePlus and Samsung to screw up like this is unacceptable. This is a quality control problem. Yeah, I totally agree, man. They're you're going to up the prices. People are going to call you out on that kind of shit. So, yeah. Otherwise, guys, I think that's it. Again, like I am just like I need to go get a drink because I'm like super thirsty at this point. But I do want to thank you guys for stopping by. Here's my plan. If my iPhone SE drops today, if I get it delivered today, I'm gonna take that time to do a photo camera comparison and try to get a video out by tomorrow. If not, probably Sunday by the latest, because I want to get something out there for you guys. And I just want to I'm so excited to do another higher production video. It's been a while since I've done one. So I want to take the time to actually test it out. I don't know what kind of I don't know what kind of, I don't know which one I'm going to do first, the Pixel 4 or the iPhone 11 Pro, but I'm going to have something out for you guys. So again, guys, thank you for stopping by. If you haven't already, please feel free to like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure that you click on that stupid ring bell notification to make sure that you know that I'm streaming. For most that don't know, or for you guys who don't know, I stream daily, Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Central. I also am working on higher production videos, so stay tuned for that. That should be it, guys. I do want to thank everybody for stopping by, for saying hello, for engaging in chat. Thank you, Brian, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Always means so much to me. And that's it, guys. I will see you on Monday live. Otherwise, you're going to see some other videos by this weekend. So that's it. That's all I got. I am going to cue the music and I'm going to mute myself, and I'm just going to keep waving by until